Lyana woke wrapped in silken sheets. For a moment, she thought the day before had been nothing but a dream, sneaking from Rafe's room at the crack of dawn, meeting Xander's broken gaze as he slipped his ring back over her finger, the parade through the streets of Pyleon, the battle in the sacred nest, the man with stormy eyes and golden magic who had vowed to teach her about the new power raging beneath her skin. But it wasn't a dream. It was real. She shot up, disentangling her limbs from the bed linens as she rolled from the bed to land on her feet, heart thumping in her chest. Her mating gown still clung to her skin, ebony shifting to ivory as the fabric rose up her torso, every inch decorated with precious stones. A red splotch marred the fabric by her waist. Xander's blood. He'd been stabbed, and she'd saved him. Then, nothing. Where was she? How had she gotten here? Groaning wood broke the silence as the world around her shifted, tilting this way and that, like a leaf swaying in the breeze. She stumbled with the motion, flaring her wings for balance. The ground was moving. She slid her gaze across the wooden walls, past the dresser in the corner, past the desk covered in papers, past the tapestry, not stopping until she found the window. The world outside was gray. She was beneath the mist. No, she was in the mist. Lyana took off, sprinting for the door and flinging it open with a loud bang. She raced down a narrow hall and climbed the first staircase she could find. Two men stopped short, shock written on their faces as she ran past. Then she was outside, surrounded by gray. The air was wet as she pulled a deep breath into her lungs. She was on a ship of some kind, which meant there was an ocean. A real ocean. Not a sea of flames, but one of water. She wanted to see. She wanted to know. Someone shouted her name, but Lyana ignored it as she jumped onto the railing, pumped her wings, and fell. Lyana! It was the last thing she heard before the waves pulled her under. Wings that carved so efficiently through the wind were useless in the water. She kicked with her feet and pushed with her arms, but the liquid rolled around her body, unaffected. Everything was dark and eerily quiet as the current swept her deeper. Just as her lungs began to burn, blue glitter cut through the darkness. A torrent slammed into her back and flung her from the ocean. A gust of wind laced with yellow sparks carried her toward the ship. Lyana flapped her wings, but they couldn't catch the breeze as she made a slow descent toward the man waiting on deck with a frown upon his face. He'd swapped his priestly robes for leather boots and a close-fitted jacket, but she recognized him just the same, the man from the sacred nest. When her feet touched wood, she charged. "What did you do?" "Morning, princess," he drawled. "You certainly know how to make an entrance." With her hands on her hips, Lyana narrowed her eyes and spread her wings to their full ivory glory. She was soaking wet in a bloodied ball gown in the middle of the sea, but she refused to be ignored. "What did you do?" "Nothing permanent." As he spoke, his focus slid to the side. She followed it and found the cause of her grounding. Her primary feathers had been snipped at the ends. With a gasp, she raised her arm, prepared to slap his smug face. Golden sparks danced through the air, wrapping around her fingers and holding them still. Now growling, she pulled back her other arm. Again, magic simmered, freezing her limb. The unnamed man stared at her with a brow raised. "Are you done throwing a fit?" "No," she answered, and kicked quickly with her foot. The folds of her gown hid the movement until the last second, and her toes connected satisfyingly with his shin. "Ow!" He cursed and hopped on one foot. Lyana grinned.